Hey everybody, it's Coach Sean McCarthy here in my office in Loveland, Colorado. If you are joining me, I'd love it if you gave me a thumbs up or a heart or a like. Let me know that you're here, you're joining me. It's never as fun. Oh, looks like we've got some viewers coming on. If you can hear me, okay, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a heart or a like or something so that I know that you're there. Um, Yep, I've got my red nose on today. We'll talk about that here in a second. But we're going to be talking about how do you improve your sales as a small business owner. So if you're a small business owner, if you are a solo professional, you're in the right place because that's what today's training is about is what are some things that you can do to improve your sales? Looks like I got somebody, and I'm wondering if that means you can't hear me. So I'm going to flip over here to Facebook really quick and see if everything is broadcasting A-OK. You might hear a little bit of feedback here in a second. But sounds like we are loud and coming through loud and clear. So I'm going to start. Again, I appreciate you being with me. My name is Coach Sean McCarthy. I'm with Colorado Coaching Company. Chances are, if you're seeing this, we're already friends or we're already connected in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to throw up my agenda here. If you post any comments, if you have any questions, I'm able to share that with the audience. So if you've got something, post it in the comments below. Hey, thanks, Danny. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for the comment. Let me know that everything's coming through loud and clear. I do appreciate that, sir. All right. So I want to start with one of the things that I work with my clients, my small business clients on, is our profit formula. And our profit formula focuses on 5 key areas for a small business. One of those areas is sales. And in those 5 key areas, what we try to do is help them achieve a 10% growth in 1 year, a 10% growth in each of those 5 areas. So we're looking at what are some things that we can do to see a sales increase of 10% from year over year. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I did promise that I would talk a little bit about why I'm wearing a red nose. No, I'm not just clowning around. If you don't know, today is Red Nose Day. Today is May 24th, and it's an NBC thing. It'll be they'll have a show today on NBC, but this has been going on for a few years now, and it's really it's a cause to raise money to defeat childhood hunger. And so if you have not picked up your red nose, I encourage you to do so to help draw some attention. They're $1 at Walgreens. It's a great cause, and let's help try to end childhood poverty. Don't you guys agree with that? So if that sounds like a good plan to you, again, throw me a heart to show me that you agree with that statement here. But I'm going to take the nose off because it's actually interfering with my vision of looking at my agenda. So I want to be able to get through this as quick as possible with you today. So it is Red Nose Day, and I support a lot of different causes, but this is one that I have fun with. And my son, actually, that's my son's nose because he took my nose. This one has a little rip in it. So I'm going to keep going here, though, and we are going to talk about sales. And what can you do as a small business owner to improve your sales? Now, this is probably truthfully a full day workshop, right? We could go and dive into small business sales and things that you could be doing to improve your sales, and we could spend 2-3 days on that. Today, I'm really going to look at one strategy, one piece of the pie that we look at with each of our coaching clients in order to help them see that 10% improvement. And this really is one of those critical steps. And so that's why I thought I'd share that with you today. Now, if you are on our mailing list, and if not, you can go over to Colorado Coaching Company's Facebook page. It's easy, facebook.com/Colorado Coaching. And you can join our mailing list because we've got a training that's going out about sales and some things that you can be doing to improve sales in those areas. But today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk specifically about your sales process. All right. So when I say sales process, what's that really mean to you in your small business? Go ahead and post it in the comments. What do you think that sales process looks like for your particular business? Doesn't matter whether you're watching this live or you're going to be watching this on a replay. I want you seriously to stop and think, what's that mean, right? Because I talk about sales process and some people automatically go to their website and talk about, a funnel and a sales funnel on their website and what does that look like. I'm more interested specifically for you and your business. What I mean by the sales process is, what does it take for somebody to go from a lead or a prospect in your business, and what is the process that you follow or your salespeople follow all the way to turning them into a customer? That's the sales process. And I'm going to break it down for you so that you've got some steps of what really should be going into that sales process. But I do want you to think, for your particular business, what does that look like? It's going to be different whether you're a B2B or a business to business small business versus if you're a B2C, a business to consumer small business, right? Each of those is going to have a different process, but it's still going to have a process. Even if you own a restaurant and your process is, we put coupons out, people walk into our store, and then we sit them and we seat them. There's still a process that goes through, and there are little tweaks that you can add. But until you understand what this process looks like, until you begin to map it out, it's difficult to see an improvement in those areas. So hopefully you agree, you'll stay with me. I'm going to break this down into some steps so that you can begin to look at, for your particular business, what that may or may not look like. So the step number one, we just kind of talked a little bit about, and that's prospecting, right? How do you get somebody to even come into your sphere of influence for you to be able to help them? How do you go find them, or how do they, inbound wise, how do they find you? That's really prospecting. That's looking at how you might go help those people out. Now, I've got some notes here. So some ways that you might prospect your particular client or your particular customer. That prospecting might come by asking for referrals from your current customers. That prospecting might come from networking. Maybe you attend networking events. As soon as I'm done here, I'm getting ready to go to the Chamber of Commerce for a lunch and learn, where there'll definitely be some networking, that opportunity to connect with some other small business owners. So you have to begin to look at how and what do you do to prospect. The other one that we just mentioned a minute ago for small business owners is obviously marketing, right? That is a way to prospect your business and to reach out to prospects and leads for your business. So that's step one. I want you to think about what activities, what do you do in your small business to prospect for leads, to prospect for potential customers and clients. So step number two is now connecting. Once you have that prospect. Now, I also mentioned that this can happen online. Maybe you're predominantly an online business. That prospecting could be because they opt into your mailing list, or they're downloading a free resource or a free white paper that you have. That's all part of that prospecting. But then what's the next step, right? And that is connecting. How do you begin the relationship building part of this sales process? And that's going to involve connecting involves relationship building. It's going to involve a little bit of research. You might have to go research that particular client or customer. You might have to go research them if they're a company, if you're a B2B. So you might have to do a little bit of research there. And then finally, you're going to do some follow-up. You're going to not just reach out to them, but there's going to be a continuous process there of building this relationship. It might involve phone calls. It might involve sending particular emails. It might involve connecting with them on social media. It might involve stopping by their business. It might involve setting up a few appointments for you to have a conversation, right? If you're a financial planner, you're definitely going to try to get them into your office to sit down and have an initial meeting. That's going to be part of that connecting, and that might be the next step of this process, of the sales process. But there's going to be some phone calls. You might send them some physical mail. There's several different steps depending on your business. So I want you to think, as you break this down after you're done watching this video, is what does that look like as far as gaining that connection with that prospect? All right, so that's where we're at in connecting. So our next phase of this is now qualifying them. Remember I said that's going to be where you're going to sit down face to face. You're going to have them on the phone. You're going to have some conversations. This is really you taking that little bit of research that you've done, and you're going to be asking them some additional questions in order to help qualify them, right? So after you've done a little bit of research, you've asked them some qualifying questions. Now what you're really going to do is you're going to compare their answers, you're going to compare that to your ideal customer. Hopefully you've already done that work. You've already gone and you can begin to identify your ideal customer. You know certain things about them. Well, that's in this process. This is where you qualify. You actually get to decide, do you want to serve them? Do you want to work with them? Because there are plenty of people who oftentimes will want your services, want your product. But the truth is they're not always a great lead because some of them take up so much more time. They take up so much energy. They're really not necessarily a good lead for you. So this step of the process, the sales process, is where you get to qualify them. You get to decide whether or not you want to work with them. That's a little different that actually comes before they decide whether or not they want to work with you. Sometimes they've already decided that and you have to exclude them. So that kind of happens as well. I'm going to move fast here, guys, because this is just a quick little training and I don't want to lose you, but I do want you to have this knowledge so that you can then come back to this video. You can look at it. You can realize, what does this look like for your business? I start this when we're talking with a coaching client, we look at what is their process. And many times small business owners, they really don't know that they have a process. And if they do, it's not written down and it's not a consistent process. I want you to begin to develop a consistent process for developing new sales. Once you do this, you can begin to build skills in each of these areas, and that will help contribute to your 10% improvement in the sales area of the profit formula. Okay, so once you've qualified this lead, right, this prospect, we're now looking at how are we going to get them to become a customer. And remember, you've heard plenty of my videos and you've heard me teach on this. Really is this continuum of know me, like me, trust me, pay me, right? That's that marketing continuum. This now is turning that a little bit into the sales process, and we're looking at those same qualifying areas. So the next one, after you qualify, is going to be your presentation or your demo. You're going to show them your product. You're going to walk them through a sales presentation. Now, again, I use that example of what about somebody who has a restaurant? They're still a small business owner. That presentation really is your menu. As somebody sits down to eat, they're looking along those lines of like, is this someplace I want to eat? And that presentation, you may not be doing it personally, but your wait staff is, and how they present the specials and how they talk to the customers. That's really that presentation. So think for a minute. What does this look like for your business? What would this look like? The presentation or the demo portion, what would that look like for your business? I'd love it if you guys would throw comments up. It looks like we've got a few viewers on. If you throw up a comment of, think about this. What does this look like for your business? What is the presentation or demo portion of your sales process? What's that look like? I can only see Danny up as one of my viewers, so I'm not sure who the other person is. But if you'd be willing to and we've got a third now. So if you guys would be willing to share, what does that look like for your sales process? What's the presentation or demo look like? Not willing to play along. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. So for me in coaching, what that begins to look like is it's usually, we're going to have a couple of meetings, a couple of phone calls, but eventually what I do is I invite them in for a coaching session. I want them to understand exactly what that looks like working with me long term, and during that, they actually get to experience coaching. We actually go through some of these same questions about whether it be sales process. We talk a little bit about. Danny says he's just thinking. That's good. When you're done, Danny, I'd love it if you pop that in there. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my presentation or demo so that you guys understand what this begins to look like. But it's going to be very specific and very deliberate for every single business. I know you guys have this because this is what ultimately leads up to that sale. So as you've got some things, I'd love it if you'd be able to throw that up there, because I can share it just like I just did on this one. So I do appreciate that. So we are talking about the sales or demo. And I said, after I've had a few conversations with some folks, I invite them into actually experience coaching, because some of them have never had a coach before. Even if they have, they may not have worked with a coach like how I work with somebody. And so I want them to be able to experience that one-on-one with me. And during that time that's that presentation. That's really a demo of my services. And then at the end, we move into asking for the sale, which is going to be that close. That's that next step. So, whether you're a photographer, an artist, a real estate agent, mortgage lender, you're an accountant, a bookkeeper, it doesn't matter, right? A chiropractor, it doesn't matter. There is some part of your sales process that becomes the presentation or the demo portion of this. Most people can identify this pretty quickly. And then this is one that obviously that I work with my clients to make sure that you improve on this, because this is a critical point for your business. All right, I'm going to move on. Again, if you come up with something, Danny, or our other viewers, I'd love to be able to have that. All right, so the final stage of this is, all right, hold on, here we go. So Danny says he mostly focuses on becoming a friend who has information or services people need. Danny, I want you to think a little bit, though, as what does that look like, right? What is that step of, when you get there? And I'm not totally sure on what your business is, but, so that presentation might be that first time that you really sit down and share some of that knowledge, or really sit down and ask a bunch of questions to offer your perspective on. Not sure. So I get that in the sales process, that is something, and that is that building that relationship. But I want you to break that down even further. If you had to look back on that, is what does that really look like, your presentation or your demo part of it? But I do appreciate you sharing that. So thank you very much. That's great. After you've done the presentation, and I just realized that presentation was spelled incorrectly. It says presentation. That was right there. Presentation. That's supposed to say presentation. But the final step of this actually, I shouldn't say the final step, but the final step of the sale is the close. And in this section, this step of the process is really where you begin to manage objections, because there's going to be some things that they come back to, and you've got to be prepared. You really have to have your homework done so that you can be prepared in order to manage the objections. And finally, you're going to ask for the sale. Those are two critical ones. I see a ton of small business owners that are really bad at asking for the sale. So make sure on this, as you look at your total sales process, you include this idea of asking for the sale. Ask them to do business, because that's really when some of those objections come out that you're able to address if you're ready and well prepared in your sales process. Guys, the steps really after the close are pretty simple. Those are really just the follow-up and delivering on what your promises are, right? Delivering your product, delivering your service, taking care of that. And those are just as important, but not necessarily part of this sales process that I want you to stop and think about for your particular small business. I do want to let you know about one other thing. Some of you might have seen this if you're connected with us on Facebook. We have an executive CEO mastermind coming up here on June 15th. That really is for business owners that have some employees that are managing a little bit larger business. If you think that is something that would be fitting for you, here's why we're doing that, right? We realize, one, there's really not a whole lot of this level of executive masterminds going on in Colorado, let alone Northern Colorado. So I've teamed up with a friend of mine. Last year, his business won Small Business of the Year as recognized by the Chamber of Commerce here in Loveland, Colorado. He's going to do a little presentation But this is really designed to be about a group of colleagues, executive level colleagues, coming together to really help each other and push each other to excel in their goals and achieve more this year with the support of each other, with the challenge of each other, holding each other accountable, getting that perspective from each other, right? Jim Rohn said, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. We want to raise that bar. We want you to spend a little bit more time with folks that are pertinent. So that's what we're looking at doing on that. That's coming up June 15th. If we're connected, you're watching this, go ahead and PM me if you think that's something you might qualify for. It is an invitation only, but we need to help get word out. We want people to know about it. If you know of somebody, please share this information with them. Let them know to get in touch with us. We'd love to have some high quality, high caliber, inspiring business owners. And we know there's a ton of them here in Northern Colorado. We'd love to have them there. Even if you're in the surrounding area, again, anywhere that you're willing to drive in for a day, it's coming in on June 15th. We'd love to hear from you. Really quick, I'm going to come back here. My marketing is almost strictly by social media. I've been doing it since 2009. I have had tremendous results. I'm a television producer who produces and films not only TV shows, but also business videos and products. Okay, so again, when you sit down with somebody then, Danny, chances are your presentation or demo aspect is you're going to show them some footage probably of some other things that you've done. You're going to talk to them about what that show might look like, right? That's that final stage. This is the presentation demo portion right before you're going to go in and ask for the close, to ask to do business with them. Chances are you spend a little bit more time on the research than a lot of people need to. And that's fantastic because that's how this lays out for your particular business. So most of the marketing and most of that lead generation for you, it sounds like, probably comes from referrals and social media. That's fantastic. You kind of get it. Again, I appreciate you sharing that and being willing to kind of have that information here for other people to understand what that looks like. If you've got any particular questions about your sales process, by all means, happy to answer those for you, Danny. But that sounds good. Guys, that's all I have for you today. As I said, I'm getting ready to head to the chamber here. They have a lunch and learn. And if you were on my last Facebook Live, you know that we talked a little bit about, the question came up about using or for Google My Business. And I posted on there that this was going on here in Loveland, Colorado. My friend Lori Maycomer is doing it. I'm looking forward to it, but it starts here really soon. So I need to bug out of here. I appreciate you guys being here. Danny, I appreciate all your comments. Look forward to connecting again here real soon. But go back through this video, figure out your sales process, come back, post here. If you have questions, again, same thing. Shoot me, either post a comment here or shoot me a private message. We'll see you guys later. And hey, happy Red Nose Day. Bye, guys.